Hello, welcome to Skeindeer Knits. My name is Ellie and I am a Norwegian living and knitting in London. And you can find me as Skeindeer on Ravelry and Instagram. Welcome to my podcast and welcome back to those of you who have followed me for a good while, and huge welcome to those of you who are new. I just saw this morning that we reached 2,200 subscribers, so that's super nice. So welcome. Just in the beginning, kind of want to give you a heads up that this podcast is mainly focused on Scandinavian traditional knitting. That's kind of just my interest, but I also dabble in other things, so there will be a bit of everything. But I'm a bit old school as a knitter, so you're probably not going to see like the most recent hand-dyed yarn knitted up into a vanilla sock. That's not my jam. So yeah, hopefully I can offer you something a bit different. I have a Ravelry group called Skeindeer Knits. It's a super fun little cute group that I am so grateful for having and grateful for people to take part in. And if you are a member already, you will know that I decided, following the response from last week's episode, to start another KAL. So I've been having so much fun with this Selby mitten KAL that I rounded up in my previous episode. So much that I decided to start a KAL for my next design, because there seems to be a lot of people who has the intention of casting it on. There were a lot of people buying the pattern when it was published, which I can't tell you how grateful I am. Thank you. It means so much when you're just like starting to dabble into designs. So because of that interest, because people have bought the pattern, clearly they have some intention of knitting it at some point. Why not knit it now? So if you have no idea what I'm talking about these socks that I have designed and put up on Ravelry. So we are doing a KAL for that. KAL does not currently have a closing date. We are just gonna be knitting for a while, and then I will decide when it's time to round up. And I'm seeing that most people have, you know, finished, and I have some prices. Currently I don't have any prices, so you know, wink wink. I'm sure I'll think of something. But yeah, thank you so much for showing your interest in having a KAL for that. I know some people already are knitting them, and that makes me very excited. And please just like post how far you're getting and pictures of your progress and stuff in the group. I find it so much fun to see people's different takes on the pattern and their color choices, and maybe, you know, modifications. I am very much open for modifications, so you know, have a go at trying to make it into a top-down pattern instead, you know, putting a different heel. I don't know, you do whatever you want to do basically. So yeah, thank you for showing your interest there. But yeah, in case I forgot to say anything about the KAL, I'm gonna put a link below where you can find the rules that I have listed thus far. And there will be a closing date. I just haven't landed on any one particular yet. So let's just get right to the fun bits, because I have a finished object this week, and I'm sure it's no surprise to people what this finished object is. It is my amulet shawl by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. Oh, so I knitted this in blue. I know this is really ironic. I'm starting the podcast by saying like, oh, I do sort of traditional colour work and I don't do hand-dyed yarn, and this is of Countess of Blaze, who is a hand dyer in the UK. I try to do a bit of everything, and this time I have dabbled into, you know, more modern shawl designs and using hand-dyed yarn, and it's been a real treat. And it is definitely outside of my comfort zone in many ways. In particular just the colourway. Like, I don't normally do blue. And the other thing is, this is actually an elongated triangle shape, which is in the crescent shape family, in the sense that the decreases, or increases rather, are on the edge. So you get increases on each, on both the wrong side and the right side. That's just the construction method. It's not like revealing the pattern in any way. It's just a standard construction method for an elongated triangle. And usually when I do that for crescent shapes, I get scarves rather than a deep shawl. But look at this. This has depth, and I mean, I will give a lot of credit to the lovely Blueface Leicester sock yarn from Countess of Blaze. It has a lot of hold, you know, it doesn't just spring back up again. It's definitely, you know, made its promises after blocking. So I'm very happy to have found that this shape actually really works for me and my row gauge, which, you know, is kind of difficult to work around. So that's really cool. And also I try to get over my hang up about mixing a different fibre. So I bought this BFL sock yarn at Yarnporium in London in the autumn. BFL, love it. I think BFL is awesome. That's Blueface Leicester, if you don't know the lingo. But the lace sections are single ply merino. So this is a good twist. This has pretty much just one ply, completely different fibre, you know, it's no nylon in the merino. I would never have combined this, but because I'm doing it in different sections, actually it works out pretty nicely. So yeah, I only have really good things to say about this pattern really, and the result that I have, and the fact that I now have something blue knitted up for once. Like, I do dabble into blue if I'm doing a Marius knit, because it has some navy blue, but that's about it really. So yeah, I should get more blue into my knitting. I don't know why I don't knit with blue. I feel like blue is just a very easy colour because everybody loves blue, and blue will always be very pretty. So it's not much of a challenge, you know. If you're using, say, mustard yellow, that could either be horrible or amazing. Blue is just always going to be amazing. But yeah, I really do think this is... I am very happy about this. And yeah, I didn't say that the single ply merino is also by Countess of Lace. It's her Tia Merino base. I'd argue this base is completely interchangeable with the single ply merino of Hedgehog Fibres and La Bien-Aimée. I mean, if you want to use those together, you know, that's completely cool. I think that will work great. It's a single ply merino a lot of dyers are using, so I don't think I'm being too outrageous in saying that. So I'm gonna put this away, and maybe I should try it on. Yeah, let's just wear it for a bit. This is how I wear my shawls. Like I said in the last episode, if I can't wear a shawl like this, I am not knitting it. Like, I weigh shawl designs by how much I can wear, how wearable they are. I like wearable shawls, like I don't mind if they're super pretty, but I have to be able to wear them practically. So yeah, so I'm just kind of putting it aside a bit because I feel like I should mention what I'm wearing. I'm wearing the Epistrophe cardigan by Kate Davis. I think it's a very beginner friendly color work garment if you are new to color work. I think this is actually a pretty good start. I've had some struggles with it just because of my short royal gauge, so it's actually like, it doesn't kind of go up to my neck and it's very close up in my armpit. Well, that's just something I should have taken into account really. It's a good pattern. I decided it was a bit too warm for this shawl, so I'm gonna put it away and we're gonna talk about my works in progress. So I have made a tiny little invisible dent in my Mercury socks, but I don't think it's worth talking about today, so we're just gonna move swiftly on to my next work in progress, which I have worked way more on, and that is another Kate Davis design, which is the Miss Rachel's yoke, which I have had in my queue since its very publication date. But I was very adamant that I wanted to use Norwegian yarn, and obviously I have to be in Norway to get that yarn. Although, let me mention this, Isolde Cheek is now going to be selling Rauma yarn. So if you don't know already, she's based in Scotland, so ordering from Scotland, you can now get Rauma Tretråd strikkegarn, that's a 3-ply yarn, Totråd Gammerse, which is a 2-ply high twist series, the Finull garn, which is my favorite, which is what I'm doing my cardigan in, and you can get the lamb's wool. I think that's it. There might be more, but I asked her, and like, that's the yarn she mentioned. That's like everything I could have hoped for. I mean, sure, it would be interesting to have some of the alpaca and merino yarns that they do as well, but you can get that in any brand of yarn really. It's the uniqueness of them is their pure rustic wools, and that's what we're getting, and it makes me so happy. So if you're based in the UK or in Europe, that's now somewhere you can actually get the yarn, which is amazing. It's been pretty easy to get this yarn in America for a while. There are lots of online pages that do it, and you can figure out which ones on Ravelry. There is a topic in my group that shares some links, and you can always find on the yarn page on Ravelry which pages sell it. I don't think Isolde Cheek's shop has come up yet because it's not really being sold yet, but I know it will be, and oh, it makes me so happy, especially that you're gonna have a go at the lamb's wool and the Finull garn. Very sorry, there's a dog barking outside. This has been like a reoccurring problem for a good while. I don't know if everyone just decided to get puppies in the spring, or if I'm just noticing now because I'm really irritable lately. Anyway, let me show you the cardigan I'm working on. So for those of you who know a bit about this garment, you would say, well, this is a bottom-up sweatshirt, and what are you doing, Ellie? Well, I am making it into a top-down cardigan. So this is what we have now. Yeah, so there's like a little skein popping out here, but I'm basically doing the sleeves concurrently because you don't want to have the sense of accomplishment of one sleeve and then be like, oh, but I have to make another one. So I'm trying to put a bit of a dent in each. It's a bit stuck, the skein. But yeah, so I have, since last time, I think last time I hadn't even done the neckline, did I? So I have now made some short rows for the neck. You can see before the rib here. I couldn't find any tutorial that was particularly helpful for this, so I winged it, and I can't really tell you what I did. It just worked. I guess I could try, like, I picked up the pink bits here. I ripped out a few rows until I got to the very last pink row here, because you always get a bit of a weird tension with the provisional cast on, so I just like doing that. And then I knitted in the round, and I did the decreases on the second round of the brown colour. It's supposed to be done the first round, but I just didn't do that. And then I just started doing short rows, and I started on the widest bit, and the next short row is a bit shorter, and the next one's a bit shorter, next one a bit shorter, and then I was like kind of happy with the amount that I'd done, so I just went on with the rib. And actually in the rib I decreased another 4 stitches, which was probably overkill, because now it's really snug around here. Oh well, you live and you learn. So I then continue knitting downwards. I make garments in the weirdest way. Like, there are easy ways of doing this. Please don't be scared of doing color work yokes when you see how I'm doing it. You're just really supposed to just do in one direction. I just can't make up my mind sometimes. So yeah, I did short rows at the back, and this is a very interesting technique, and if I can remember I will link to it, because I found a YouTube video. Oh, here we go. So you do short rows that you start on the front here, and you go over the sleeve. And I did probably like, I don't know, maybe there are 3 short row turns here, so I guess there are 6 extra rows for the back. You see that? So they go over the sleeves, but they really don't go over the front. So you can see the front is markedly shorter than the back. So having those extra stitches for the back, I think, will probably help, because you kind of hunch over a little bit, you know, and you want that extra length there, but you won't necessarily want the extra width. So I have slightly more stitches in the front than the back. Not to the extent that I did with my previous cardigan. It's more of a, I don't know, 45-55 divide rather than a 40-60. Just because I couldn't quite let the method go. It worked fine last time, but I just wanted to do a subtle way of doing it. So for those of you who wonder how I'm turning a sweater into a cardigan, it's actually quite simple. I mean, I decided to do the rib at the top back and forth instead. That's one way. The other thing is just adding 6 stitches in the middle. So 2 of them are purled and the 5 in the middle are knitted. And that's really all there is to it. And when you're done, you just cut through it. And with this yarn, you can just cut. You don't need to sew. And the crochet edge that I know a lot of people will recommend. This is a little bit controversial, but I feel like that is mostly decorative. You might experience that's going to hold your stitches, but over time, which is kind of what we're interested in when it comes to garments that takes ages to make, over time I'm not that sure it's actually going to hold up if it's a superwash. If it's a non-superwash sticky yarn, you know, not alpaca or any long staple, then it's gonna hold up regardless. So if you want the crochet edge and you think it's pretty, go for it. But if you think it's gonna hold your stitches, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. I'm just not entirely convinced. This is purely subjective, but I would probably run over with a sewing edge or 3 if I was doing superwash. Just some thoughts that I'm having. Yeah, so it's going quickly. The more I knit the sleeves, you know, the less stitches there will be, because I'm doing decreases about every 6th row, because my row gauge is again a bit shorter. So I just figure out, you know, what's the row gauge recommended in the pattern, how much do the like number of rows correspond to that, and how many rows do I have to knit, instead of having to put up my ruler every time I do a decrease. So I figured out that was the best way of doing it for me, but you of course have to check your own row gauge. So yeah, that's the back. Should we do a close-up? Yeah, let's do a close-up. So, and also let me just say thank you so much for your kind words and many likes on Instagram when I posted this yoke. Was not expecting that at all. Like, thank you. I just feel like because I'm really going with the same colors that Kate Davies used. I feel like I have a copycat in this particular cardigan, although I'm going completely rogue in the construction method. So that was really nice to see that you found it so very pretty, and yeah, thank you. Really babbling on this episode again. I'm really sorry, guys. I've had a few difficult days, I'm gonna admit. It's not something that I can talk about here, but I hope you will bear with me, and it's already making me feel so much better recording this. So thank you for watching. Let's move on to the next work in progress, because of course when you cast off one shawl you want to cast on another one, even though you have like 15 works in progress all at once. So I did that. And so for those of you who have been with me for quite some time now, you will know I have been drooling after this particular shawl that I keep seeing when I go into the loop knit nights. And it's called the Autumn Leaf Shawl, and it's designed by Paulina Pup something. I'm gonna put her name here because I don't want to butcher it. And she's a phenomenal shawl designer, and she designed this for Loop's 10th anniversary book. So I have cast it on. Let me show you. So you start by knitting the edge, and that's kind of what I'm doing now. So it's very dark. Oh yeah, that's a bit better, isn't it? So it's a 12-row edge that you repeat 42 times. So it's gonna take a while. Like, let's not expect this is gonna be done anytime soon. So it's actually a crescent shape that you do bottom up. Again, you know my apprehensiveness about crescent shapes, but I have seen this shawl in the shop and I know I love it, so I'm sure I'll be happy with it. And you know, you gotta get over my hang up about crescent shapes, right? So this is the edge. It's gonna be this way, right? So you pick up the stitches on top here, and look at my little panda stoppers, the higher panda stoppers. They're so cute, and they're knitting. Oh, and I forgot to say, I just want to put that in there, I swatched for my shawl, my Skeindeer shawl, my autumn leaf shawl. I swatched for it, and actually I can tell my row gauge is a bit longer here. So there's something about actually using the recommended yarn, you know. So I am very confident that's gonna be really, really good. But I want to tell you about how I constructed this swatch, because I basically start here and I add a stitch each side so that I can tell when the swatch is big enough and I'm happy with it, and I start decreasing. And I save so much time and yarn doing it that way. So that's something I can really recommend if you're doing a swatching for something that you work in the flat, because you need to swatch the same way you're gonna knit it, and I did that, so pretty cool. And here's a little close-up of the skein. Look at that. Isn't this the most perfect color? If you've been with me for a while, you know my weakness for this particular shade, and I'm so happy I managed to get the last 3 skeins of this yarn at Loop, because they are now probably gonna discontinue it. Last time I checked they had like 3 skeins left, so not of this color. I got those. So it's a bit of a shame. There is some uncertainty about this yarn, whether they're gonna continue to exist or not. They have been bought by someone else who say they will maintain production. We'll see. And so if you're wondering what yarn this is, it's the Skeindeer 4-ply luxury yarn. So I'm just gonna show you the entire label, because I don't know what you want to know about this yarn, so I'm just showing you the whole thing. Yeah, it's a naturally dyed yarn, which is really interesting. It's called a luxury 4-ply weight, and it's got 200 meters per 50 grams, and it's actually quite affordable. I think I paid, give or take, £1, £7 per skein, maybe 6. So I thought that was completely reasonable for such a fine yarn. And it's got 40% merino lamb's wool, and you can totally tell. It's so nice. Like, there's such a pleasant softness with merino with lamb's wool, whether it's merino or not. It has just this warm softness to it. A lot of yarns that are soft, they're soft because they're over processed in the superwash treatment, which is fine if that's what you're into, nothing wrong about that. But I just love this. Really, it feels like you're just hugging a lamb. So yeah, is there anything else you want to know? It's got 40% angora, which is amazing, 10% baby camel, 10% baby alpaca. So it's just so delightful, and I'm very sad if I'm not going to be able to get more of this yarn. So I'm gonna keep my eyes peeled. But of course, as some of you will know and remember, I got, I think it was 5 Aran weight merino lamb's wool skeins of theirs in like this amazing red color. That's gonna be a awesome, amazing, soft and just wearable sweater. I'm dabbling with I'm kind of on the fence with regards to whether I should do a simple raglan or do the Chuck sweater by Andy Sutherland. I'll be interested to hear what you have to say about that. And also, just while I remember it, in the middle of everything, I'm still utterly in love with the third installment of the local yarn club by A Homespun House, and two very generous people have agreed to swap yarn with me. So they are giving me their third skein in exchange for anything that I might have to offer in return, and I could also do it against payment. So if you happen to have a skein, I might need a fourth skein. So just putting that out there again. But yes, I have now sent out the yarn I'm swapping with, and I am eagerly awaiting what I'm gonna get in return. So that will be for another haul. But I do have some yarn to haul for this particular episode as well. I know, after Edinburgh, it's not okay, is it? But as I said when I was introducing this to a friend of mine, I said, you know, this is necessary yarn. And bet you never heard that one before. It actually is necessary. I'm working on a design. I can't really tell you much about it right now, but it's quite urgent that I get a sample knitted up. So this is what I bought. It's Jamieson's Spindrift. I'm not holding each and every one of these upside down, honestly. Why am I allowed to do this? So this is what we got. So you can see this is amazing foresty green. It's got, I can't even tell you, it's called pine forest, and I think that's very accurate. It's just coming up as black here. Can we have a better, yeah, it's just a bit better. So you get an idea, it's a bit overblown now. Actually, that's quite good. And this kind of red orange is the best way I can put it. So gonna make a little sample of these ASAP with some white fenil, because I got plenty of that, so there's no point in buying more white yarn. That's a good rule if you're going to be a colorwork knitter. Always have a good chunk of white yarn. I know it's not the most exciting yarn to have, but you're really going to need it to balance things out. So I have, like you can see in my stash as well, I have so much white yarn, especially natural white. I prefer those to the bleached whites. And also have a good chunk of black, because sometimes it's just really good to combine white and black. So that's just something I thought of recommending right now. And those of you who watched my previous episode know my struggle with Hermes, who are delivering mail in this area sometimes, and they're just horrible. I'm just gonna say it, they're horrible. Like, first time around they emailed me and said the parcel was delivered while I was at home. It literally said posted through mailbox. There's nothing in my mailbox, I am at home. And I tried getting in touch with them, and they said, can't help you, you have to get in touch with the retailer, because they are a customer, you're not. So the retailer basically found out that they are now marked it as lost, which is apparently what they do when they have posted it to the wrong person. So they, Dermors, the lovely shop that I was ordering from, kindly offered to just send it to me again, what I had ordered. So they did, and yesterday it arrived to my neighbor. Like, the address is there, it says the number, you know, what my house is, and they managed to drop it off at my neighbor's. Oh, like if they just rang the doorbell, I could tell them how to find my door. It's not that hard. So sorry, I shouldn't be spending the whole episode complaining, but eventually, like, my neighbor, of course, kindly as she is, brings it to me, and I now have this amazing skein to show you. So I'm gonna quickly get it out of the bag, because I'm still having a bit of moth anxiety, so everything is very carefully sealed up. I got a skein of Cumbria by the Fibre company, and I had no idea which color it's gonna be, because you know when you look online it's a bit like, is this brown, is this red, I don't know, but it's just the perfect color ever. And you can imagine how much it's stressing me out that there might be another skein like this somewhere in my area, to some person who's not thought through to actually bring it to me, because it says my name and number on the parcel. I might take the round today before I head up to a knit night to check if they have it. It's just upsetting. I can't deal with the fact that there's another skein of this that doesn't have a loving home. I'm hugging the skein again, I keep doing that. I will say in the middle of this that I want to apologize a bit, because the remainder of this episode is mainly me going to talk about products. Like, I have bought some sort of knitting sources, you know, pattern books and booklets, and I also have a review. I have been thinking about this a lot, and I do want to have less focus on stuff I have acquired. Of course, it just so happens that I do acquire things that are, you know, yarny related, knitting related, and that's just kind of, you know, my struggle in life to try to keep that down. And, you know, I have been kind of having to turn down a few things that people offer to send me because they just have too much. But I also feel like when you focus too much on getting stuff, you are basically enabling other people, and I don't really want to be that kind of podcast. I think it's fine, those podcasts that are, I I greatly enjoy them. I still feel like I can control myself, you know. You see some podcasts and they show off amazing skeins every episode. I feel like I can still control myself, but I can totally tell that some people find, even if they don't feel like that makes them feel like they need to buy stuff, they still, it's not necessarily what the focus should be, you know. It shouldn't be that materialistic, and we should maybe talk more about knitting than about the stuff that we're using, because you can really use anything and make amazing stuff. So I just kind of want to think out loud about that for you guys, and I'll be interested to hear what you have to say. But yeah, it just so happens that I have a few things to show off, so shall we just get to that? Yeah, please forgive me, but I'm quite excited. I'm really sorry about all the dog barking. So first thing we have is Sourcebook of Cables. Is that what it's called? Knitted Cable Sourcebook, sorry. By Nora I can't talk, sorry. This book. So it's a stitch book that has a lot of cable stitches, that, because sometimes I look at a pattern and I'm like, well, there are other cables I like more, but I still want to do that garment, and I can just totally replace those cables with whatever I find here. So I don't know if I can show you anything that isn't too revealing. Can I do this? Yeah, you can see some cables. So it's just full of stuff like that. I think there are some good previews actually on the Amazon page for this book. Here's one that doesn't give away too much. Yeah, it's just like a dictionary, you know. It's got, oh no, it's no point me just browsing it while you're looking at me doing that. So yeah, very happy to just have this as a resource for when I want to dabble into cables and just borrow some cable bits and bobs here and there. So yeah, it does have patterns as well, which is interesting. I haven't really felt anyone calling my name just yet, but I might get more into cables with time. Right now I am kind of on the fence about cables. I like them, but I'm not crazy about them. So for now, it's just gonna live on my shelf. So sorry about the noise outside today, guys. London, eh? So the other stuff I have purchased is this. So if you don't know, this is Garn, a Norwegian knitting magazine that's kind of, I would say, you know, kind of following the format of Pom Pom magazine, but they're doing it for getting Norwegian designers out there, and they have good focus on what's going on today in Norway knitting. You know, it's not such a high focus on the traditional Norwegian knitting that I might be more interested in. So it's not like I'm super eager to knit everything in this book, but I really appreciate what they're doing here, because there is so much new and interesting going on in Norway that's comparable to what's going on internationally. You know, we have so many dyers popping up, and there are these designers that do other things than color work. You know, there's not just the Set the Star and the Marius and Starbu mittens, you know, they're coming up with other things. And we'll say that the traditional, the big pattern publishers, they are not necessarily always that in touch with that. So it's really awesome that these people have now started this magazine to bring these designers out to the people who might not be on Ravelry and showcase the yarns, and I just think it's great. I think it's such a good effort, and I can only dream about having my own patterns published in here one day. That would be fantastic. And they're also going through like recent book publications, which I think is so good, because this has bothered me a little bit, because really, if you're a knitter in Norway, you will see just about anyone can get a knitting book out there. There are knitting books for everything. Like, there's such niche books that it's really hard to dig through that pile, whether it's online or in the actual bookstore, to find the really good ones and to know which is the recent one. And even the web pages are not that great for finding books. Like, I try going to like one of the bookstores websites and go into the craft section of the books. They don't have a separate knitting section. Already there it's quite difficult, because there are enough knitting books to warrant a separate section. And even when you go there, you can't sort it by, you know, recently published, most popular, etc. It's a random order really, and so it can be really hard to find the latest and the best books and the most popular ones. And here they're just kind of running it through every time there be new books, which is fantastic. So I might subscribe. I just now bought the first 2 issues just to have a look, and I am really impressed. I wasn't really going to review this. These are just my thoughts right away. Maybe I can show you some of the designs. You might want to see them. So this is one design. I mean, already here we have something pretty gorgeous. Can you hear the tapping sounds in my window sometimes? I think it's because I have 2 windows in my room, one on each side. So bumblebees will try to get in and just go up on the window. It's a bit amusing and a bit sad. There's one garment that you can knit. Needs another one. I am just showing you these briefly because you are fully capable of going on Ravelry and seeing these patterns, so you can probably see them in more detail and find out more information that way. But yeah, it has a very, you know, cohesive style. And I have yet to actually read through anything here in detail yet, so this is not a super informative kind of review or anything. I just kind of wanted to tell you about this brand new thing. But before I get you all excited, I have to tell you that they're only Norwegian. It's kind of classic Norway, really. We tend to not translate things, unfortunately. I hope that maybe the individual designers will translate their patterns once they are allowed to sell them up on Ravelry, because this magazine kind of only has the monopoly of the patterns for the first 6 months, which is really generous of them, I think. But yeah, I think in this case I can actually kind of defend why they don't translate it, because usually it's the traditional Norwegian stuff that are not translated, and that can be quite frustrating because there's no equivalent internationally. Whereas here, actually, this is something Norwegians deserve, you know, this is something that exists not particularly for Norwegian. This is something that exists internationally in different styles, but this is kind of by Norwegians for Norwegians, and I wish they would translate it, but I can sort of defend why they don't in this case, because first and foremost, Norwegians have sorely needed a book, a magazine series like this that has the sort of more modern take on things, that gives you something that's a bit more in touch with what's going on internationally, what, you know, the overall knitting community in the UK and the States and Australia, etc. have already. So yeah, all the good things to say about this so far. I look forward to seeing future issues. I might subscribe, I think, maybe, I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna try out some maybe patterns or have a read through, you know, look through in detail, but so far I am very impressed. So as I mentioned in my previous episode, I have been given an item for review. So basically Della, who makes knitting cases, they make needle organizers, sent me this for free against me reviewing it. They've not given me anything beyond that, you know, I'm still going to give my honest opinion. They're not told me what to do beyond giving a before and after picture. So that's it. And having said that, having me giving it for free sounds amazing. I still had to pay customs, which was £14, so it's technically not for free. So rest assured, nobody has bought Skeindeer. I will still give you my ruthlessly honest opinions about everything. So I just want to put that out there. If you're not up for watching a review, this is all I have knit-wise. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. But let's just dabble into the review, shall we? So this is what I got. And it looks a bit bulky now, but when I got it, it was just not nice and folded flat because it didn't have any needles inside. And I just want to put in the before picture where I have all my needle cases out there. So you can see that it's quite a big mess. It's got lots of Knit Pro stuff there, and I just want to say first and foremost that I'm really happy with Knit Pro's cases, and I'm also really grateful for the Knit Pro case I was recently given by a viewer of the podcast a while ago. But I have a lot of cases, and while I was hoping that Della would send me a big like circular needle case, because I definitely need that, because right now my organizer is this toiletry bag. So I was kind of hoping to have a before and after picture of that, but I'm actually quite happy with my toiletry bag solution. So yeah, before picture, quite a mess, a lot of cases. I have, you know, chunky Knit Pro Novas, I have the regular ones, I have the short ones, and I also have the wooden dream set. And I have some short DPNs for like mittens and stuff when magic loop is a bit fiddly. So all of those things I did, apart from the Hayas, because Hayas is a different brand size. So I have still left those in this bag. So Hayas, they remain exempt for my organizing. So we have the before picture and after picture. So everything now is in here. My first complaint, I have one. Seriously, why do these bumblebees insist on coming in? Anyway, I have one little complaint, and that's the button thing, because it's just this strand, and it's like, I can see why they did it. It's quite clever because you can always adapt this strap to how many needles you have, but it's just too many steps to actually get to your needles. So I really wish they would have come up with something a bit more convenient for that. I might have to maybe cut it off and make it a bit shorter so I can just like connect these two buttons. Because it's a really pretty design. I feel like I own such a luxury item. But they should have thought of something more clever, because this is just like a strap that I'm like twisting around and pulling around, and it's just, I could maybe tie a knot as well, or tying around the buttons is enough actually. It stays put, there's no problem there, it works. And it's quite clever. I just find it just a little bit time consuming, given that in my previous cases I could just open the zip and there they are. But once this little strap is off, I have this case, and I'm gonna see if I can open it the right way. So I just open it this way, and there we have all my needles happily displayed. And so I have organized this in a slightly unconventional way. Like, you do get all the tags here, and they're both in US and metric sizes, which is fantastic, and it's a good way of learning metric if you're doing US sizes or vice versa. So, oh, hair everywhere. Shall we go through what I've done? Yes. So first of all, I love this fabric and I love this pattern, and it's just really, it's everything I need to be and nothing more, which I think is great. And there's also a little pouch here which I put all my cables in, and there are quite a few cables. So initially I had swapped these and these around, so that meant I had my chunkiest needles right here where the cables are, and that wasn't really great because it became very kind of bulky when I tried to fold the whole thing up. So I just swapped it around, which is why it looks a bit different than in my images, if I had images of that, I can't remember. So we got the chunkiest to the thinnest all the way here. But actually I know my 3.5 needles, they are busy in this project, that seems to take forever, so I decided to just put my DPNs 3.5 here. And these are, I think, 0.2, no, the size 2 millimeters, but there is no tag for that, so I will just remember that. Whereas here I put my DPNs from size 3.25 and 3.75, and then it's just it makes sense that these are 3.5 and 3.25. You're not supposed to use these for DPNs. I'm just showing you how that was something I had more room for, so I could actually do that as well. But they're mainly just meant for the, you know, paired interchangeables. So if you don't know what interchangeables are, like the kind that you screw on a cable. So these are not like single pointed needles, or straight needles. In the next row, you know, I put in some more DPNs, as you do. I don't even use DPNs, but I have these. And these are my shorter interchangeables, so now I can have them all in the same case, which is really cool. Because these are all Knit Pro Novas, which I think are really good. And now I can have my short ones for like hats and stuff, together with my long ones that work for everything else. Because if you use the long ones on a really short cable, you actually can't make the tips meet, because the needles are just too long. And I also put my wooden needles in there. So they didn't all fit, but I just squeezed them all together in here eventually. So yeah, because my DPN, my short needles, they stop at size 6. So from that 6.5 onwards, I could actually just put in my wooden needles. And at the end I have, what is it, size 4 and 3.5 and 3 in here. And I actually remember these sizes because they're colored, and I've used these smaller sizes the most, so that's just fine for me. But in my joints here that you can join cables with, that just fit nicely here. Got my cable stoppers and screws in there. There are lots of pockets here I'm not using yet even, and I got some of the shorter cables here. I don't know why I didn't just put them in the zip bag, but yeah. And some more cable stoppers and stuff. So it's just all happily together, and when you want to put this together, you just fold this over so that these needles will not pop up, so you can fold them over here, and none of the needles have any risk of coming out, which I think is so simple and clever, because I have seen other needle cases where there is nothing like that. So when you fold it together, they risk popping out here. So it's not really good. So altogether, I am really happy that I have this, and it's just so cool. I can have all my interchangeables in this little thing. It is not so cool that I have to do this whole thing every time, but it's less time consuming when I am putting it back on. It's mainly the process of taking it off that bothers me bit, although you can do that quite ruthlessly by just kind of pulling everything off. So it's not a huge problem. That was just like, if I'm gonna do a review, I need to give you the pros and the cons. There are definitely more pros than cons with this. I am very happy to have it, especially given it came from the States. I think it's somewhere on the far west coast, so not something I would have thought to order. So I'm very happy and very grateful that Della sent me this. This is their little logo if you are confused about how to spell it. And it's so cool now, because now I have basically all of my needles in this. And you know, for long time viewers, you will know I have a crazy amount of needles, and they all fit into this. I could totally bring these while traveling and it won't occupy too much space. My suitcase is kind of big. And this is just so convenient, and I really wouldn't have to bring this. Like, this would be enough. So it's awesome. It's really awesome. I am very happy. So yeah, I'm glad I had very good things to say, because you know, when people give you stuff for free, you feel like you almost have to be positive. And I really only have mostly good things to say about that bag. It is the strap where you kind of put it around that bothers me a little bit, but it's not the end of the world. So yeah, that was all I had. That wasn't so scary, was it? Yeah. So also putting in a reminder that I am going to Wonderwool. I am going on this Sunday, and hope to see some of you there if you're going. It will be in Wales. This is crazy. I don't know when or where. Like, I know when I'm going to the bus that's going to take me there, but I don't know how long it's going to take to get there and back, and I don't know where in Wales it is. I'm assuming it's like their capital, but I don't really know, and it's kind of fun not knowing. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. And now I'm just gonna go into Easter. But yeah, I'm gonna really miss having a proper Norwegian Easter, because we have a bit of an odd way of celebrating Easter in Norway. It's a lot to do with like going up in the mountains and going skiing and having a little camp there where you light a bonfire and you like grill these like doughs that you roll on a stick, so that you get bread with bark and hot dogs, and you have oranges and chocolate with biscuits. Is like a bit of a Kit Kat thing, although better. And yeah, and then you go home and you snuggle up in front of the fireplace with blankets, and you read crime novels, and you eat marzipan that's in cardboard eggs painted with like chickens and roosters, and it's been laid by the Easter bunny. It's a bit odd. And we also eat a lot of eggs and decorate little sticks with colourful dyed feathers. I really miss Norwegian Easter. I really do. And also it's really fun how they do it in Sweden, because basically kids dress up as witches and kind of go trick-or-treating. So yeah, can't really replicate these things here in London, unfortunately. But I'm gonna have a little Easter egg hunt with my boyfriend, and that's gonna be fun enough. So I hope you will have a lovely Easter. I hope at least some of you will take part in the Colour Your World sock KAL that we are doing. I'm really excited that so many of you already said that you're going to take part, and I will see you next week. I am not going to take any sort of Easter break or anything, obviously, so yeah, hope you'll have a good one. Bye.